First of all, Brian and Russell, thank you both very much for speaking to us. It's
our pleasure.
What I'd like to talk about is some early Frankston memories. Obviously, you guys are now, or probably always were, Australian music greats, and Frankston being part of that whole Melbourne music live scene. Your memories of Frankston and playing down here, and anything you'd like to share with us, favourite gigs?
You're the one with the memory cells.
I've got no memory cells. I worked, there was an early gig here, and I can't remember the name of it. It was opposite.
Penny Lane?
It was opposite the pier, in a little hall there.
Penny Lane?
Yeah, Penny Lane. That's the first one I
played there.
Yeah, you played there. That was the first one I did down here, and then it graduated to the pier, which was wow. I remember so many nights going up those stairs on the outside, those fire escape stairs, when it was pouring with rain, and they were so dangerous and slippery. It was horrible. So yeah, it was a good gig. It was a crazy gig.
Yeah.
One of those gigs that sort of your feet stuck to the floor all the time.
Oh yeah, the pier.
Yeah, the pier. Yeah. It wasn't beer, it was blood. No, I'm only kidding.
It might have been. Listen, I wouldn't believe it. The interesting thing about the Penny Lane gig was that they were in the days when we'd do 3 gigs in a night. So we might start in Q, at the, you know,
oh, wow.
Q, whatever that was called.
Q Club.
Yeah, thank you. And then we'd be in the city at the Thumping Tom or something, and then we'd have to make it through the city on a Saturday night to Frankston to do the late
show, yeah.
The late show at Penny Lane. It was always a real challenge, wasn't it? It was fun. But we often spent a lot more time driving than we actually did playing.
Yeah, and in those days you didn't do big, long sets, did you? At the pier we did, but in Penny Lane it was like probably 20 minutes.
Well, that was the 60s.
Yeah, in the 60s you did 20-minute sets.
Okay.
Boy,
so
how good would that be?
Oh no, wouldn't it be great if we could do it? We can remember just about enough for 20 minutes.
Yeah, almost.
So, stories about the pier. I've only got one that I can actually tell, and I don't even know if I can tell this one. But this was in the 80s, and it was, what did it hold, about 800 people or something. They all stood, packed together, and they had those standing tables where people stood with their beers and everything on the tables, watching and dancing and whatever. And we had this lunatic in the band in the 80s, a guy called Colin Setches, and he was a loud guitar player, but not necessarily a very good guitar player. But he just got carried away by the enormity of the crowd and the beer swilling and everything. And during Silver City, while Tony was doing the solo, he left the stage. And Tony's playing away the solo, and all of a sudden we hear this dreadful racket coming out of this guy's guitar. He had a radio guitar. And we look down the back, and he's leapt onto the back table, the one where there were all these hundreds of thousands of people standing around, leapt up there, playing this dreadful solo in a kilt with no knickers. And apparently the people, no one had it. It was a good thing they weren't listening to it, to be honest.
That is Colin all over.
Isn't it, Colin?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's so fabulous. And we could hardly play. We were hysterical. And then we could see these girls sort of standing under the kilt going, hey,
So that would have to be your favourite Frankston memory?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Can I beat that? I don't think so.
No, I don't think you
I
can,
can't
actually.
beat that.
No.
My only one was slipping down the back stairs. I slithered down on my thumb.
That's right, because they were released.
They were really scary.
Almost as dangerous as the audience.
Yeah, the audience were fun. They were a wild
They were
audience.
wild or well behaved? Because
No.
some of these guys will be watching this and...
No, they were wild.
Wild!
They were wild. You put them in the category, down here was in the category of, say, Newcastle audiences or Wollongong audiences, yeah.
They're really full.
It's almost like, it's funny, in 3 cities, satellite cities almost. So it's almost that satellite cities produce this wild rock and roll sort of mentality. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah, well, they weren't threatening to us or anything. I don't know if they were threatening to each other, but whatever it was on 11 all the time. From the moment you went out to the moment you went left. And I got helped by a guy in a dress.
Brilliant. John, have you got anything you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I'm
You've covered everything.
just going to jump in here, and it's a pretty sombre time at the moment in Australian music. You know, with the passing of Michael Gudinski. Michael has numerous connections to Frankston, including one of his late staff members for Premier Arts, actually lived in Frankston. The guys from Vicious Vinyl, Andy Van Dorsler, John Course, Colin Daniels. With that, you know, Andy came out yesterday and said without Michael's help, their record label wouldn't have been as big as what it is. So he's really behind the artist. Can you guys just give us your experience with Michael?
Well, Brian and I would have first met him when he was an office boy at Ambo in the city, and he was working his way through the ranks, and he was always a really nice guy. I know people say that about people when they've passed away, but if he walked into a room, there was 1,000 people that you knew he was there. He lit up the room. His enthusiasm was unbridled. He was great to be around. He was fun to go to the football with. I went to the football with him many times, and he was a crazy Saints supporter, and I was a crazy Tiger supporter. And
We won't hold that against you.
and we had a lot of fun at the footy, and he was just an exceptional man. I think his loss will leave a void in the Australian music industry that will never be replaced. You'll never see the likes of a Michael Gudinski again.
No, I don't think we're breeding anyone like that anymore. He was peculiar to the times, and I met him first when he first started Mushroom Records, and he was selling product out of his dad's boot, out of dad's car. That's right at the beginning, and he represents to me the first beginnings of a truly Australian music scene. Because up until that time, we were signed by, it was either RCA or we were signed by EMI like you were, but they were district offices of companies that existed in America or existed in England. They weren't Australian companies.
No.
And he started with this little tiny idea, and Mushroom will never be duplicated, I don't think.
No, and he actually nearly went under 2 or 3 times. It was so close, but he just stuck in there and hung in there, and he had his dream and he just kept pushing it. It was great.
It was real hard music back in those days, and not to take anything away from the artists of today, but I don't think they sort of realise, you know, it's not sort of, today you hear many artists have a one-hit wonder, and it's gone, and you know, you guys are both known for particular songs, like the real thing, and probably
I don't know if it's their fault, it's just the way the music business is now.
Absolutely.
They get ploughed under people get very quickly very sick of you, and that's what happens these days. You can have really immediate success and you're gone. There's a few that can last, but it's very precarious.
And both of you, I mean, your names, the fact that you're here today, we're 2021 here in Frankston, 2 of perhaps the biggest names in Australian music. You know, that is a true testament to what you guys have done, and coming back here, I believe playing in your favourite city, I'm sure. But you know, it's so you know, from everyone in Frankston, thank you so much for.
I didn't live too far from here. I used to live really far.
Oh, you just up the road.
Yeah, and I was a Sandringham boy, and I went to high, so this was on the same side. It was down.
That's it. You're on the better side of Melbourne, and
Sandringham's a bit posh, isn't it?
Not the bit I was in. I don't even think it really was Sandringham. My parents just called it Sandringham.
you guys, we've actually would like to say a special thank you to you guys for coming here to Frankston. Frankston really needs a big push at the moment, coming out of COVID, the whole of Melbourne. So, you know, to have people like yourselves picking Frankston Arts Centre, doing a gig, the first time you've got together after how?
This is our first show for over a year, so we're really rusty. We're gonna have to run things again. So before we go
It'll
on,
be wonderful.
Look,
We don't care, it's just a privilege to see you.
Most of us haven't seen
So-
anything in a year. We're just happy to get out and to have 2 of the biggest names in Aussie rock. We are so blessed. So, on behalf of the Mayor of Frankston, Kris, Bolam, Frankston City Council, the people of Frankston, And in particular, Carole, who's the lady behind Frankston History, who's put all of this together today. We would like to present you both with your very own I Love Frankston shirts.
I will wear it with pride.
Oh, wow.
So we expect you to wear them on stage tonight.
I will wear it with pride.
Ah!
Well, one's a large and one's an extra large. You can argue over who's going to wear which.
Have you got the extra?
I've got the large. You've got the
Oh, that's
extra.
good, I've got the, yes, I've got the.
That's fantastic.
That's lovely, thank you so much.
Thank
we'll,
you so
we'll buzz
much.
off and do our stuff and
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
absolutely.
Sorry, but so
No, it's
normally
fine.
we're not this tight, but after not working together for so long, do you know what I'm going to have to do now? I'm going to have to go in the back room and run over Arkansas Grass because I realised it's one of the only songs I didn't look at.
Oh, it comes back.
No, it won't.